weekend the ride of the news on Equinoxe Television. First, the top stories. Horrific incidents in schools. A recent case leaves one student dead and others who go into a trance. And that aside, corruption remains a hard nut to crack in Cameroon. Recent figures beat imagination. These are the top stories. The news in full in just a jiffy. Welcome back and good evening and welcome on this edition of the news on Equinoxe Television. As per remarks in the report of the year 2019 by Transparency International, Cameroon almost topped the list of corrupt countries among 180 countries across the world. Cameroon is ranked 153. We have details with Armstrong Fomi Sanda.
Still among the most corrupt nations in sub-Saharan Africa, according to the 2019 report of Transparency International. The anti-corruption watchdog ranks Cameroon on position number 153 out of 180 nations ranked in 2019. According to the Corruption Perception Index of Transparency International, number 180 is the most corrupt, with position number 1 being the least corrupt. Cameroon therefore finds itself on the 153rd position, dropping from the 136th spot it occupied in 2018. Despite the change, Cameroon maintained a score of 25 on a scale of 0 to 100, where 0 is highly corrupt and 100 least corrupt. Transparency International says a strong executive branch, lack of judicial capacity, a widespread of poverty in Cameroon are some of the factors that have made corruption rampant, especially in the forms of bribery, extortion, tax evasion, and electoral manipulation. In terms of public financial management, Transparency International adds that Cameroon shows little progress in modernizing its fiscal and tributary systems or making it transparent. While internationally financed efforts to combat corruption in the country have been launched with mixed results and extensive critiques, Transparency International says the participation of civil society and media actors in the formulation of key policies in Cameroon are still very weak. The report then comes at a time Cameroon is fighting wars on many fronts, in the far north region against Boko Haram and in the Anglophone regions against separatists. The wars have greatly affected Cameroon's economy, with a downward spiral on several domains. But even before the wars, Cameroon has on more than one occasion featured on the bad side of the Corruption Perception Index of Transparency International. The recent report says Denmark and New Zealand are the least corrupt countries on planet Earth. South Sudan and Syria are the most corrupt nations on Earth, according to Transparency International.
And Cameroon's head of state, President Paul Biya, says he is aware of the situation in the north and southwest regions of the country. He says the situation would be under control and resolved definitely in days ahead. He was speaking this day in a Yaoundé Center region of the country during the graduation ceremony of the 37th batch of students from the combined services of the military, would recall Dr. General Jacob Koji. We have details with Innocent Azay.
Dans le nord-ouest et le sud-ouest,
the President of the Republic, who doubles as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, reaffirmed the situation in the restive northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon is ameliorating this Friday while presiding over the 37th graduation ceremony of the 2020 batch of students from the combined services of the military in the headquarters brigade in Yaoundé.
L'action déterminée de nos forces de défense et de sécurité.
The determined military actions, he says, have ameliorated the situation in the northwest and southwest regions.
Considérablement la situation.
He assures that security measures taken during the major national dialogue will contribute to absolute calm and peace in the days ahead.
Dialogue national contribueront au retour définitif au calme et à la paix.
while revising the Boko Haram hostilities in the far north region.
Boko Haram continue de semer de temps en temps la mort et la désolation auprès de nos concitoyens.
And the high rates of insecurity in the East region, masterminded by highway robbers.
Ce sont des bandits de grand chemin qui se livrent à diverses exactions.
The head of state stressed that efforts will continue to multiply for Cameroonians to live in total security. Graduating the 241 young officers of the 37th batch dubbed General Jacob Koji, the head of state records the general died in a locality in the far north region in a helicopter crash on January 22, 2017, while from a mission related to the fight against Boko Haram.
Il s'est distingué tout au long de sa carrière.
While honoring the general Friday, President Paul Biya urged the cadet officers to adapt to the new context and face the security challenges, fight against cyber criminality that is a threat to national security and can also destabilize the national economy.
C'est un contexte marqué par l'existence de menaces d'un type nouveau.
Human rights, he added, must be respected by the young officers who are also charged to protect welfare of civilians.
Les défenseurs du bien-être de vos compatriotes.
Nonetheless, the commander-in-chief of the armed forces exhorted the young officers to respect their commanders and work in collaboration with local authorities to restore peace, stability, and secure the country's territorial integrity.
C'est l'une des conditions de succès dans vos missions.
In all, 241 cadet officers received epaulettes. They come from Cameroon, Central African Republic, Congo, Ivory Coast, Gabon and Guinea. 182 of the young officers are from the National Defense Forces alone and are expected to serve, following the example of General Jacob Koji, whose name their badge bears.
Je vous demande de vous inspirer de l'exemple donné par ce brillant officier supérieur.
The President of the Republic saluted the bravery of the young officers for choosing to pick up arms to serve and defend their fatherland, with the prize being their lives.
They are going out with the martial steps depicting.
On to other news, we take you to the central region of the country. Sports incident and scenario turns fatal. Back there in the central region of the country, a student gives up the ghost after physical education exercise in a school campus. This happened in Yaoundé, one municipality at the government Balingo High School, Colbiton, a situation which left a good number of students going into a trance. We have details with Babila Jonathan.
He left the family house for school looking physically healthy, but he will never return home again. Gabriel Lekefa, second C student of Government Balingo High School in Coleton in Cameroon's political capital Yaoundé, is being transported from Clinique Bastos to a mortuary in this gendarmerie vehicle. Witness accounts see the student collapsed few minutes to 10 a.m. Friday following physical exercises with his classmates after he was rushed to the school's dispensary and then to a nearby clinic. He died minutes later. Yaoundé 1 divisional officer Thierry Nama attributes the death to an accident on grounds that the school officials did not receive any medical report showing that the child was sick. The news of Lekefak's death sent panic waves down the spines of all the students who collapsed, while some stormed the school dispensary.
Nous avons eu le retour de la quasi-totalité de ceux qui sont tombés.
The principal of Government Balingo High School in Coleton, Mohamedou Kingi, says the students collapsed because of fear.
Le retour au calme s'est installé au lycée.
She adds that the situation has been brought under control thanks to the timely intervention of the Yaoundé 1 divisional officer, the police and the National Gendarmerie. Medics have said the students who collapsed after the death of their mate are responding to treatment. The day came to an abrupt end in Government Bilingual High School in Coleton following an administrative decision of the Yaoundé 1 divisional officer.
Nous avons décidé de suspendre les cours.
He, however, reassured the students and parents that academic activities will resume normally in the school Monday.
And away from that, we stay in the central region of the country, where back there, the people or the inhabitants of Afano Oyawo, we are in the Yaoundé 3 municipalities, say they have dusty roads and they find it difficult to be mobile on this dusty road, a situation which they beckon the government and local authorities to address as quick as possible. You have details, Smart Chicken Gabriel.
Heading to Afanoyo in the Yaoundé 3 subdivision is a nightmare, as getting a motorcycle is a hectic task at the Ahala roundabout. When we finally got a motorcycle, one will obviously see reasons why it is difficult to get a motorcycle, because the road from Afanoyo, Barriere, passing through Etoile, is horrible. It's very tough for us here. The road is first of all too bad. When I get back home, my kids run away from me. With the dusty environment and several potholes on the stretch of the roads, bike riders are discouraged, but those courageous ones on the road since the start of the dry season have also added the price. At first, we transported passengers at 100 francs, but now it's 150 francs because we are also suffering. We can't transport people at 100 francs and go back home sleeping on the bed sick. The addition is to enable us buy drugs. The headache is not only for the bike riders or private car owners. Those living by the roadside do also suffer because of the dusty atmosphere. It is difficult to sit by the roadside. Just like those heading to the third end must have at least 2 dresses on. Because of the dust, the dressing code has also changed. We can't dress as we desire anymore. Why I decided to move on foot? Because taking a bike to where the tar begins, you will discover that you've all been covered with dust. It's better I go on foot. The situation of the road has also left a negative impact on roadside vendors. You can see for yourself the state of the items I sell here. No customer comes in because of the dust that has covered everything. My photocopier is bad due to the dust. When a car passes, dust go up and down. Because of that, my would-be customers have run away. Those who even come to eat ask me, where are they going to sit? The population is now hoping that the authorities will think about them to provide a well-tarred road.
And onto our inquiry page in this newscast, we talk health. More and more family planning units are inactive in local hospitals, precisely state-owned to district hospitals across the national triangle, a situation which is more and more becoming problematic. We would recall that formerly the Ministry of Public Health put in place this unit to address family planning in homes and ensure a child spacing in families. We have details in this write-up. In Cameroon, more and more family planning units are almost inexistent in hospitals, an initiative which was formally taken into consideration by the Ministry of Public Health to educate families on reproduction and family build-up has today become a shadow of itself, a situation which seems to please women directly concerned more and more as they give their reasons. This lady, for instance, thinks it is risky at the long run with conception effects.
des problèmes de concevoir.
The other lady says it leads to ill health with other effects like nerves. Contrary to these ones are others who partially adhere to family planning with the use of contraceptives. The lady says she gets prescriptions from medical experts to take pills. Meantime, health experts say there is much to gain in family planning, for instance via local and hormonal, not leaving out extraction methods.
Il y a les autres méthodes qui sont par exemple celles que vous aimez bien appeler les coïts interrompus. Donc deuxième méthode, barrière. Il y a déjà les préservatifs. Ensuite il y a le diaphragme. Ensuite il y a les méthodes hormonales.
Dr. Samuel Kafunda Kantuli, a gynecologist, doesn't refute some effects like internal infections and probable infertility at long run.
Il peut entraîner une infection, ça va entraîner l'endométriose, l'inflammation de l'endomètre, ça peut entraîner des infections au niveau des trompes.
Planning childbirth and ensuring child spacing as added by the gynecologist remains of general interest, thus the need to revamp family planning units in hospitals. And that does it for our local news. Up next, we'll receive our guest on Talking Point. Welcome back. And the school, given that it has been a center of priority this recent days, for the past week, the school has led to a lot of critics or a lot of topics and critics' minds across the country due to the different scenes we've had recorded in schools this recent days across the National Triangle. We received right here a teacher to brainstorm with him on what has been ongoing from the start of the week till today. Younger Wontu Eric, welcome on Talking Point. Welcome on Equinoxe Television.
Thank you very much, Hermine, for this second invitation to be here.
Okay, thank you for accepting our invitation. And with you, we try to reflect on what happened during the start of the week. It's true today, it has been, I would say, a very fatal and a sad scene in Yaoundé with what happened at Colbyton with a student who dies. But let's wind the clock back. Let's get back to Ayos. It still happened in the Central region during the start of the week, and you as a teacher, I don't know if you're abreast with what is being prepared by teachers across the country, precisely state-owned teachers who are about to protest, I would put it that way in quotes, even though it's not yet well-defined, but they are about to criticize and to present their state of disagreement with what is happening in schools. What's your take first with the incident which happened in the Central region? Ayos precisely, we had a divisional officer who got into a classroom due to certain circumstances, beat up a teacher in front of the students and locked up the teacher. The teacher was released yesterday after the intervention of the regional delegate of secondary education. What's your take? You're a teacher.
First, from the perspective, I as a teacher, I think that it's a little bit disrespectful, you know. If just imagine you're going into a church and having a priest or a pastor beaten up in front of his congregation. What is that act going to, leave in the minds of the congregation? And I don't dispute the fact that the divisional officer is an authority. Yes, I don't dispute that fact. Everybody deserves their own respect based on where they are. And I don't want to say that, okay, the teacher who was sort of trying to express himself as the boss in that particular circumstance were also wrong. So it did happen that everybody wanted to show their authority at that particular instance. So, and things actually degraded, and what happened actually happened.
Who takes the lower hand in the school? You are a teacher. Who takes the lower hand?
In every given institution, we have an authority who manages that institution, and we call that person a principal. Okay. Yes. So the question sometimes, the question I wanted to ask is, was the teacher informed of a visit of the divisional officer to that school on that particular day? Because if the teacher wasn't informed that there was going to be a kind of state visit or an official visit, then it would have been a little bit out of context. And you know that surprise visits sometimes are a little bit dangerous because you are out of your element. And I think that the fact that the teacher felt that, okay, this person is probably encroaching into my terrain, it got him thinking that, hey, relax, I am the boss here. So you got to listen to me, and you know, when I come to your terrain, I'm gonna have to listen to you. So it's a little bit complicated issue. It's like you have a banana, yes, you're passing around a monkey. You know that, okay, monkeys like bananas. All right, it's in a monkey's territory. If your banana gets snatched, okay, how would you judge that? Because that was the only road, I mean, that particular circumstance, you had to pass it, and then the monkey had to snatch the banana from you. So it's going to be a complicated thing actually judging. Yeah, you know.
Even though would recall for the viewers who are watching us, yesterday we received a legal mind who gave us the legal backings and realities on such a case. And now let's try to situate you as a teacher still. How do you look at it with the incident which happened at Colbison, where a student killed, stabbed a teacher, and the teacher died? And today we had another case. I would say today, though it's not today, but this week. It's a recent case with what happened again at Ayus, another teacher abuse. Are you going to say, like the international landscape or the national territory, with viewers saying teachers are more and more abused in the country? How do you appreciate this? Are you abused as a teacher?
I for one, I've never really suffered any physical abuse. Yes, I don't know if it's because of my way of doing things.
What's your way of doing things?
In fact, I always avoid certain friction with people. That's to say, I don't allow you to come too close to me. I don't allow you to have that opportunity to try to walk on me, because I'm not a carpet, as a matter of fact. Yes, though, because people do have difficult attitudes to manage, I mean, to handle, especially if you're working for the private sector. Sometimes you would have some maybe your employer could be very bossy, could be thinking that, okay, you have nowhere else to go. So sometimes, do you know how I do avoid certain things? I avoid things by, I consider that you don't exist. If I see that that's a temptation which will flare sort of my anger, yes, I pretend as if I don't see that, because sometimes you flee from certain things not because you're a coward. It's because you have measured the consequences, the potential consequences, if you have to react
without
against those things.
Are you saying some teachers who find themselves in these situations have not measured the consequences, reason why they find themselves in such situations like we've had recently in the country?
No, everybody cannot really be me. Yes, okay. Everybody cannot be me.
That's your strategy.
Yes, everybody cannot be me. Okay. And I think prior to that, I had my campaign. I was talking about respect, and the day after the murder, the assassination of that teacher, I said something. It's like teachers are going to have to learn martial arts to defend themselves, yes, because they're like orphans, they're like street dogs, because a teacher can't be killed just a couple of days ago, and then just yesterday we see another teacher abused. So I asked the question, what's going on? Is it that because a school, the same way a school should be protected, I mean, the people who manage the school institution, the same way it should be protected. It's just the same. It's just like you have to protect a church premises, yes? Okay. That's to say, you shouldn't lay hands on a man of God. It comes from common sense, because common sense is something which is, you don't buy from the market. You should know that, okay, a teacher is somebody who transmits knowledge, who transmits skills, who helps people to remove illiteracy from them, yes? So you cannot take upon yourself to beat up a teacher or maybe to lay your hands on a teacher. There's a more diplomatic way, there's a more diplomatic and friendly way of settling issues, disputes. She as an authority, yes, in that particular position, okay, maybe her temperament made her feel that she was right doing that.
More
but she
superior,
should have
maybe.
called this man behind as two mature people, because everybody is kind of a boss where they are. So she should have called him behind and talked with him. You don't get a medal slapping somebody
Before
publicly
the
before students, because you can't slap a teacher to show the students examples. Yes, you can't beat somebody's father because you want to show an example to the child, right? It doesn't really make sense. You could solve problems without people sweating, without people really, throwing punching at each other. It's simple. God gave this mouth to us to be able to discuss, to talk, to dialogue when there is a possible issue to solve. And I don't know why people go to the extent of allowing things to degenerate before they can actually say, "Oh, I should have done this." Okay. But it's very simple to use the mouth.
Now let's get facts on the ground. Are we going to see teachers have a lot of situations or realities they face which they need to denounce in the country for the community to understand that the teacher is one of the persons in the society who should be celebrated rather than minimized, rather than wrapped into the mud?
In fact, I think that we cannot say that we're writing a story of completely people sabotaging the teaching field. We have a few people who think that they're so superior. It's not only on the teaching field. There are people who are driven by irreparable arrogance to the point that they don't spare anybody. Okay. And in that perspective, what teachers are just facing is just a mirror of what other people are facing in the hands of arrogant people. You see, it's just a picture that, hey, this is what these people do to other people in different fields. It's just that it is not seen. It's not pronounced. It's an issue of mentality? Yes, it's an issue of mentality. Okay. Because I always say that if you see an arrogant person, just from the way they drive a car down the street, right, you know, people don't need to tell you. You just need to see from yourself that this person is pretty arrogant. So I just wish to say that teachers should build what we call a shell to protect themselves, because sometimes some of these things actually happen because maybe you allow yourself to sometimes to be treated the way you ought to be treated. Okay. The way people treat you, right? There are times I've seen certain teachers, sometimes they'll ask some parents for beer, ask some, because they teach the children.
Meaning the teachers make themselves cheap.
So you bring yourself down, like to a certain level. You should be able to use that word teacher and erect yourself a platform, which not because you want to be imperious, not because you want to be superior to people, but just to give yourself a kind of decent image, which people will actually be afraid to lay fingers on you as a teacher. Okay. And if teachers come out that they're gonna have to strike against this kind of arrogance against teachers, then I'll be all right with that. Yes, I'll be all right with that, because for example, I don't disrespect people. Even if you're just older than me for one day, I respect people, and people will never tell you that, hey, this guy is so arrogant.
And what do you denounce as a teacher? You, younger Wunto Eric, what do you denounce as a teacher?
If I have to denounce a lot of things, because this thing goes down to personal attitudes, because people have some terrible and deplorable attitudes out there, because they think that because you're a teacher, you accepted to come and take the teaching job, right? They could pay you a couple of francs, and then they think that they could just do anything to you, yes? And
who, the parents, the school staff, the society?
Maybe, I'll tell you what, the society, because we have stakeholders, yes? We have stakeholders. In a group of stakeholders, we have parents, we have investors, we have, when I say investors, I'm talking about proprietors, founders of schools, and students incorporated. So if these people do not look at teachers with some sort of respect, or with a respect which is due for that particular profession, right? It means that these people have lost value. They think that these people are valueless individuals and valueless creatures who do not deserve any sort of respect. Because it's not because you pay me a couple of francs that you think that you're quite maybe you're superior than I am. Because if I have 2 legs and I have 2 eyes, just like you do, and I think that I should think that you are not my superior. The fact that you have just a few coins more than I do.
It's an exchange of service.
Yes, I'm just going to give you a simple example. If you tell somebody that I am more intelligent than you, yes, that person is more stupid than you. So everybody is stronger at one point, yes? That's the person is more stupid than you are.
Yeah.
And you are more intelligent than this person. So it's 1-1, yes? 1-1. Yes or no?
Yeah.
So I used to say that I will not allow myself to be trampled upon by anybody because I'm not a carpet, and that shouldn't be. Every other teacher should defend their reputation, should defend that job, defend their name as a teacher.
Okay, that's good to note with you, younger one to Eric. And with the situation which happened at Colbyton today with the students who died, globally, it can almost be said that the school milieu has become very unsafe. I don't know how you look at it.
Yes, you know, a couple of months ago, you and I were talking about the insecurity in the school milieu.
Yeah.
And these things keep on happening. That's to say, they're like a chain of events. And I keep on asking myself questions every day. What's happening? What's happening to our schools, in our campuses? You know, this issue of Colbyton, yes?
Yes, Colbyton.
Where a couple of students go in a trance, and apparently one died.
One died after a physical education exercise. One died. Yeah.
So I think that there's a lot of things happening. You know, these youthful generations, right? They are easily possessed and, you know, manipulated by some foul spirits, because they have some potence, they have some fresh things which evil spirits profit from them. Yes, because you wouldn't. An evil spirit wouldn't have somebody possessed who was 80 years or 90 years old. What would you get from that person?
Maybe the students were mad at what happened. They were mad at the fact that they had one of their comrades who died after such a situation, or after a sports exercise in school, a situation which turned to most of the students bitter today.
Yes, okay.
Maybe the follow-up in school is not actually what is expected by the society, the general follow-up. Because if the school administration was certainly aware that this child has some health issues, which definitely that should have been the case, so maybe it should have been the case, I think this child wouldn't be allowed to take these physical education exercises, which probably led to his death.
Yeah, sometimes it's always necessary for school authorities to ask students to give their to bring their medical reports. Yes, do their medical exam. It's not for nothing that when you want to enroll into the university first year, they always ask you for your medical report. You have to go to the health unit, they check you, and then the envelope goes to the school administration. It's very important because in case a student suffers a malaise, they should indicate, maybe that medical report should help the people, maybe the health practitioners or doctors, to begin their findings, their diagnosis from there. So every school, the school authority, I know that back in the past, we used to have first aid box in our school.
Yes.
And when you came back from sports, and then probably you had some health issues, you had a maybe a problem of heartbeat, a cardiac problem. The authorities, the school authorities, administration knew exactly what to do before rushing you to the hospital. So actually, the school authorities or administration are supposed to have the medical reports of each student, so that we don't get into extreme cases.
And operational dispensaries.
Yes,
in schools.
Dispensaries. In fact, it's inevitable. It's inevitable not inevitable, but it's indispensable rather to have dispensaries in schools, which could serve as first aid to students. Yes. Because do you think it's for nothing that we have first aids in many companies? It's not for nothing.
It's essential.
Yeah, it's essential because sometimes we might have emergency situations where there could be a fire. Some people could be, could be injured, and you couldn't take somebody over a long distance to take them to the hospital. So you have to administer, first of all, first aid before rushing the person to the hospital.
Okay, before we part ways, certainly you have a few words to say vis-a-vis the report we had on corruption. Cameroon almost topping 153rd, ranked out of 180 countries across the world. That's out of recent reports of Transparency International. What's your take? Surprised, or to you it's but normal?
I cannot be surprised because, this is their job to make those reports. Is their job to make those findings.
Is it a reality on the field? Is it real?
I'm still to find any perfect society, right? A perfect society in the world. Okay. I cannot say no that there's no corruption in this country, and we are not the only corrupt country on this planet. Yeah. There are more interesting things to say about Cameroon. Talk about even the beautiful mountains in Cameroon, the beautiful seas. You cannot spend. That's to say, the Western world cannot spend time only singing about corruption in Africa. Corruption in Africa. We have more beautiful things which you could also talk about when it comes to Africa. So, but I say that I don't deny the fact that there is corruption. Yeah. Yes, I would have denied, or maybe I would have been mad at you if I thought that there was a perfect society. Humans are imperfect, because I tell you what, even you find men of God who keep talking about salvation, we have lots of them who are so attached to material things and money. So you find the only perfect person you could imagine existed is Jesus Christ. Yes. Thank you so much, Younger Wuntu Eric. He was the guest this evening. Have a lovely evening and have a lovely weekend. Thank you for this invitation, and nice day for you. Some other time, televiewers, will meet you again on Monday for another edition of the news on Equinoxe Television. That does it for this pack of the news. Have a lovely evening. Have a lovely weekend.